I've been asked to discuss understanding annuities. Annuities is a topic not a lot of people feel comfortable discussing because they don't know anything about it. A lot of that has to do with people not taking the time to educate themselves. I didn't know anything about annuities. The only thing that I knew about annuities was that I got paid pretty well, and I like that. That's why we're all here, isn't it?
Yes.
We're here to make some money, and we're also here to help some families at the same time. When I learned that if I wrote a $200,000 annuity and I got paid at a 5% commission, I was disturbed. I said, Matt Smith, why do I only get paid 5% when I get 100% on everything else I sell? Well, Matt said, Spencer, there's a lot of zeros here, and I know you skipped a lot of math class growing up, flirting with girls, but you missed out on something, Spence. When we do this, you're looking at a $10,000 compensation right there. And I said, Matt, how do I get more of those? And you know what he said? Run more appointments, run more leads. Do exactly that. The number one question I got asked most last year, I went and spoke for annuities at our annual conference. The number one question I was asked the most was, what leads are you buying? And I don't understand why. I'm buying the same leads you guys are doing. I'm just making the conversation be had in the home about what do you do with your 401k? What is your retirement plan? What's your strategy? So let's get into this really quick. Understanding annuities. What is an annuity? Anybody? What? It's an insurance product that does what? It's a long-term insurance investment with the guarantee of them paying you income for the rest of your life. That's what a general annuity is. Guaranteed to not run into longevity risk. What does longevity mean, Brady?
For the life.
Live it a long time.
So longevity, oftentimes I see people avoid that. Longevity risk means if you live too long. My grandma right now is 95 years old. She just battled some kind of cancer. Can't really remember exactly what it was because there's so many freaking different kinds of cancer. She still seems to press on. She has her bottle of Chavez in her kitchen that she tackles weekly. But that being said, I got a grandma living into her 90s. My dad is 70-something and healthy as can be, runs several miles a week. We need to address the longevity risk. 3 out of 4 senior citizens, when asked and surveyed in 2016 by an insurance carrier, said that their number one biggest fear was running out of income in retirement. Okay? That's a real fear. People really do have these concerns. I met with a family yesterday. He had $28,000 in his 401k and he's 50 years old. That's not a great setup. But his biggest fear was running out of that $25K he had. Okay? Each one of you in here have the ability to go make $25,000 this week. So it doesn't quite hit home, but for somebody that makes $45,000 a year, trading hours for dollars, that's a big deal. You need to make sure you treat it like a big deal for these people. These people are going to be very, very impressed with what you're able to do in the home when you're discussing annuities, showing them how they can protect their retirement, how you can offer them guarantees. What an annuity does for you is it basically simplifies retirement. If you have all of your fixed expenses in your budget laid out in front of you in retirement, you know how much money you need on a monthly basis to just pay those bills. Whether it's Medicare, Medigap, whether it's your auto, it's haircuts, all that stuff is worked into your fixed expenses. When we take a look at that and we just tell Mr. and Mrs. Client, say, hey, what are your fixed expenses? And we take a look at it and say, hey, how much different does your retirement look like if we can never mathematically, scientifically, or economically dip below this line of income? How much different does that make your retirement? Well, now they start going, well, that makes it pretty good because now I don't have to spend all my time worrying about it. Now we can spend that excess money on grandkids, presents, holidays, Christmas, vacations, break, if they want. But what you do is you start generating that interest. And so how an annuity works for these clients is it basically is a deferral of assets. You're going to secure assets with an insurance company, which guarantee they won't lose, guarantee you'll never have an income decrease. And what you're doing is you're just deferring the process of which you to use that money. Insurance companies guarantee, based off mortality credits, that they will pay that out for as long as you live. For as long as you live. For my 95-year-old grandmother, for a 100-year-old person. I forget what the statistics are, but there are 1 out of 10 people will live over the age of 90. 1 out of 7 people will live over the age of 85. That's a lot of people when we talk about hundreds of millions of people that we have in this country. So it's important to realize that basically 1 out of every 10 families you meet with, and if you meet with 20 families a week, 2 of those people are going to live to be 95. So 2 of those people need to know how to conserve their assets. And if you haven't told them, you kind of missed the boat on what we're doing this for. We're doing this for ourselves, but also for these families. So make sure you bring this conversation up. A lot of people don't know the power of annuities because we got Susie Orman and these people out there that are talking bad about them with little to no education. I wonder if those kind of people even hold licenses in this stuff. So it's important that we are bringing this discussion to the table with our clients. A lot of what I do in these kind of meetings or opportunities to train, I want to know more about what you guys want to know. I can sit up here all day and use big words, which make my head hurt too, so I'd rather not do that. I'd rather want to open the discussion. I want to have a participation with you guys. I want to know what you need to know. I want to know where you're missing the boat. I want to know where you've struggled or passed. So if you guys have questions right now, questions for me is part of my presentation, because you may have a question that the guy sitting 6 tables away from you wants to know, but he doesn't know how to ask it. So please, if you guys have a question, start raising your hand, and I'll start going right away. Go ahead, Greg.
How do you
Next question.
distinguish where the money is?
Okay, go ahead. How do I distinguish from?
From where the money is. For like if a new person comes in, how do they distinguish, like, okay, I have money in the CD, money in a money market? Like where would you go for them to learn the differences in where money is at?
Oh, to a new agent?
Yes.
Okay, a new agent, good question. The best way to find out what the different retirement options are is Google. Okay, I asked Bridget, who's Sean Ruggiero's assistant, who leads all the advanced market sales calls. If you guys are not on the advanced market sales calls during the week, you're missing the boat. You're not even getting to the beach, I don't think, in my opinion, because that's where I learned all my stuff. You gotta remember, I came into this not knowing it. So to answer Briggs' question is, where can you learn this? Investopedia.com is an amazing resource. That is a great place to learn definitions, terms, information about annuities, how they work. You need to go Google and say, what are the top 10 ways to retire? And they'll start listing 401ks, IRAs, CDs, bonds. You'll see all the investment vehicles out there. Not every vehicle shifts into 5th gear. Some of the vehicles are 1st gear, like a CD. It's gonna go slow. So good question. Internet, you have to educate yourself, because I can't sit here and educate you for you. Go ahead.
Getting through the first sounds too good to be true objection.
Too good to be true. Okay, perfect. This is what I screwed up. Last year I had a $1.5 million sale that I got the contract signed on, submitted, and everything like that. Perfect example. Too good to be true, right? I forgot to ground it. Annuities aren't too good to be true. There are bads about annuities in somebody's opinion. So you have to ground the annuity. Grounding it because you mean pie in the sky, to go with the illustration, too good to be true. Pie in the sky is the illustration. Hey, let's tie that pie back down to the ground and say, hey, we're on the real world. This is planet Earth. We need to realize that there is something called a surrender charge. But John Gavin, the reason we're not going to have to worry about that is because we're not going to put 100% of your money inside a vehicle that limits liquidity. We're going to diversify 50% of your portfolio here. We're going to put another 20% in a Vanguard account, because that's one of the best places to have assets managed. And then we're going to put you with somebody that we recommend, an actual stockbroker, somebody that can show you how to have some sort of potential for large gains in retirement, because you don't want to be completely diversified into just annuities. Most insurance companies won't even allow that. So hopefully that answers your question. Go ahead.
You wouldn't suggest annuity for a 30-year-old, right?
Depends. It absolutely depends, because I've met a 31-year-old that received his mom passed away and had $300,000 in her IRA. He was a beneficiary of that. So he'd already received it, paid the taxes on it, and it had been sitting in his own IRA for a while, and he didn't really know what to do with it. Tom Hegna, in his book, Paychecks and Playchecks, that is 100% something you should write down and read. It's not a hard read. It's meant for people like you and me trying to learn. A 30-year-old could very well diversify into that. My cousin, who's about 35, I mentioned to him saying, hey, listen, he had all his previous employments, 401ks, that were kind of just doing whatever they want. I said, hey, if you put a chunk of this right now, if you put $50,000 at the age of 30 into an annuity, and you let that grow and accumulate for the next 20, 30, 40 years, by the time you get to be 59 and a half, which is when the IRS allows you to access that money anyways, you'll be well past surrender periods. You have been safeguarding a portion of your portfolio for your whole life, and now you have that guaranteed amount of accumulation as your safe bet. What's cool about it is, if you're 30, I'm 28 years old, I can afford all the risk in the world. Matt Smith's not as young as he thinks he is, so he can't afford as much risk. And so when you have closer to your years of retirement, you have to be able to protect yourself from that volatility. I can take 2 or 3 economic downturns before I get worried because I'm 28. Statistically speaking, I have decades and decades and decades of accumulation as long as I don't put myself in a nasty spot and get wadded up in an accident. So I think that an annuity is always situational. It depends. If a 30-year-old has $50,000, what does it look like if you put 20 in that? It's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars 40 or 50 years from now, and it's only 20K. You can't use it at the age of 30 anyway. So that's my opinion, but it depends. It is situational. Go ahead.
And then if somebody says like, oh, I already
What's
have
your name?
Gabriel,
What time did you get here today?
at 10 a.m.
Why did you get here at 10 a.m.?
because I wanted to be here on, like, before.
I saw you here at 10 a.m. I got here at 8 a.m.
Okay.
Not having to do with time frames we got here, because I had meetings to do, I was doing some training, and today's my dial day, so I had to do my dials, and I just decided to get here. You were here at 10 a.m., so I just wanted to acknowledge you for that, because you were here early. I saw you talking to your buddy right here, and I just think that was really good. So I recognize it, and I think you deserve that recognition for being here so early, and you guys, I walked past, you guys were talking about this stuff, so I can tell you're excited. What's your question?
Thank you. So, yeah, if somebody says, you know, I already have a financial advisor, I really trust them, they're awesome, I've done really well in the market, I don't need this.
What age is that client, hypothetically?
Hypothetically, I mean, I hear that most of the time at, you know, between like 55 and 65 probably.
That's pretty common. John, go ahead. What do you got a good answer for that, John? Or you're going to cover that when you're, okay, talk, okay. He's going to cover that when he's talking next with a little bit more real world objections. I'm just getting the basics of annuities out there. I want to know the simple things that you don't know or aren't confident about knowing. Go ahead. Go ahead, you first.
Okay, what I want to know is how soon after you have your insurance license should you get licensed for annuities? And what is the minimum, because I heard, I believe his name is Brad, say that he had like 2 or 3 type of annuity license. So what do you need to get in?
So here's the amazing part about your question. Everybody hear her question. Her question was, how long after I get my life insurance license should I go acquire my annuity license? Your life insurance license is your annuity license. When you took that exam, or when you take that exam, there are questions about annuities in there. You're already licensed. I have a client that is in this room right now that I did a $200,000 annuity for within the last 60 days. At the end of our transaction of doing the life insurance, doing this, she goes, you know, I have that. I go, I have what? You have what? An Apple Watch? A lot of people do. No, she goes, I have that. I have that license. I go, I know, I just gave it to you. No, I have one of my own. I go, bullshit. Go get it right now. Okay? Even that individual wasn't aware that the annuity license is a life insurance license. It's the same thing. And that's a great question. I'm not trying to break it down for that, but it's important. The point that I'm getting at with that is that I brought up the conversation. She even went through the course and was, unfortunately, nobody really gave her that education on annuities to get her to that next level. So we have done that. Now I'm coaching her through her very first sale in insurance is going to be an annuity sale of her warm market. That's how we do this. We bring them on, we show them what we can do, get them excited about the product, educate them, and support them to go out there and do it on their own. Go ahead.
Yes, do the annuities we have a floor, and what is the floor?
I don't follow the question.
The floor, I mean, a customer, a client, can they lose on the annuity?
No, and in fixed annuities, there are annuity products that you do have the ability, they are called variable annuities, they do have the ability to decrease in asset valuation due to market volatility. Traditionally speaking, a majority of the annuities that I think everybody in our company is putting people in is fixed index annuities. It's really one of the safest ways to protect them. So their floor traditionally is 0. That's a loaded question because there are annuities that have riders and guarantees, things like that. But yes, an FIA is one of your safest products to put people in where you don't really have to play the guesswork. This is what I tell people at when I'm offering them an annuity. I say, you guys, you know why I enjoy this annuity so much is because I'm not going to have you sign a piece of paper at the end of our meeting where I go, Greg, this is the last signature I need from you. And you go, what's this one? I've signed 35 papers so far. What's this one? Well, this is the one that says if we lose all your money, we're not responsible because this is the risk we're taking by playing with your money. That doesn't happen. I don't have to do that. And I will literally tell my client that. I say one of the things that I love about this so much is that I'm not going to ever tell you, hey, this is the paper you signed, not holding me liable. The good news is I don't have to do that versus a stockbroker, that some of the documents they have you sign is, are you aware that you could potentially lose some or all of your account portfolio due to volatility in the market? That is part of those documents. I don't have to do that. It makes my job easy, it makes me feel good.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm curious, do you guys ever partner with stockbrokers?
No.
Offer this?
John Gavin does not. If I have a client, so that's a great question. I don't have stockbrokers on speed dial recommending things out that they should do for my clients, but occasionally, if I have a client that's got some serious net worth, some of my clients do. Some of my clients make $600,000 or $800,000 a year. I'm not going to step in and go, hey, you don't need to listen to those guys, they're the bad news. Because actually, at the end of the day, I generally feel like portfolio managers do have some people's best interest in mind, depending on the asset classes that they're put in. So if I've got a client that's got several $1 million, there's only so much annuities you truly need. We need to safeguard a lot of his growth and give him the ability to guarantee his retirement, but he definitely, that client I'm referring to was in his 40s. We got a lot of room to still accumulate assets. So in a holistic financial planning aspect with what I've read online, I'm not an RIA, I'm not an RICP, so I need to let people know, listen, this is my area of expertise. On that, I have done a lot of reading, I have done a lot of self-education, but I don't carry that credential. I'm gonna get some contact information for you so that when you're ready, you can reach out and begin to have some discussions with them. And that's what we do. I support them exploring it on their own. The same thing I say about tax questions, things like that. I say, hey, listen, I'm not a tax professional, I got a good idea, but I can't tell you what you should do and shouldn't do. So I hope that answers your question. All right, that's it for me, guys. Thank you.